how on earth am I ever going to memorize all of this information to pass my architecture exams? Hey guys, I'm Bryn Young. I'm a licensed architect here in California, and I help people like you become licensed architects too. I get asked all the time, how the hell am I supposed to memorize all this information? There is just so much to know. Or people will go in and take an exam and they're like, I literally don't even remember seeing half of these things. So here's the trick. You don't need to memorize. And actually, you shouldn't be memorizing. The architecture exams are really about deep understanding, which can be kind of tough because you're like, okay, well, how do I even know if I'm deeply understanding? Or I'm taking this practice exam over and over, and now I feel like I'm just memorizing the questions. So I recommend a ton of different ways to study. Don't just do one way. Don't just do one way that you're used to, maybe from growing up, traditional school, even college, where you study a textbook, you write notes, you memorize the answers, and then you take the exam. That's not what these exams are all about. You really have to understand the information. And so there's tons of different ways that you can go about this in order to test whether you know it, obviously through practice exams, but it's really about diversifying your studying. I have lots of other videos and content all about this. This is really what we dive deep into for the Ultimate Study Plan and Mind Over ARE. But what I can let you know now is go about it in different ways. Study using at least 3 different techniques, discover what works best for you, and then talk out loud, whether that's teaching someone who has no idea what you're talking about or engaging in a collaborative conversation with other people who are studying for the exams, whether you're testing each other or you're just having a conversation. Go outside in the real world. Even if you can't get on a construction site, go walk around and go look at retaining walls or roof details or weep holes or flashing details and learn it in a new way. And the biggest thing is ask yourself questions. When you're answering something, ask yourself why. Why is that the answer? Right? Because when we can start to ask ourselves why and understand why, then we're really understanding at a deeper level and not just memorizing. And yes, this might take longer than quote unquote memorizing, but this is what's going to lead to a pass rather than feeling like you're sitting there having no idea what you're answering. Yes. There is a lot of information for these exams. There is a lot to cover, but you don't need to memorize. You need to understand. With that said, I will say there are a few things that you're going to end up, quote unquote, memorizing. Certain things that you're just going to want to remember. For example, like IBC table numbers, so that you can quickly go to them if they are a resource in your case study. So for example, table 508, you're going to want to know what that is and go to it. These are things that are going to become really like second knowledge. You're going to know it once you're doing it. Other things like ADA measurements, those are things that you're really going to want to memorize, I guess. And also the AIA contract numbers with the type of contract it is. But not just memorizing, understanding it. So for example, if you're doing like a handrail, you don't have to just memorize like 34 to 36 inches. Instead, we'll memorize that, but then also, why would that be? And think through it. Like instead of just thinking of the grip dimension and why it needs to be that, like why would it need to be that? Then when you can understand why it is that way, it starts to become like a no-brainer so that when you are in the exam and you're getting asked a question, it's really obvious why one would be totally wrong. It doesn't mean they are not going to kind of, I hate the word trick you, but there is often 2 similar questions that might be both kind of right. So that can throw you off a little bit. But when it comes to memorization, there are some numbers or some areas where you're going to need to kind of create some tricks for yourself or I like how I just said I don't like the word tricks and then I used it. But, like some little ways to remember things, acronyms or whatever it is. But then also just think of the why, especially when it comes to ADA, like thinking of your body. You get to sit there during the exam with your body, right? So you can even think of certain ADA things in terms of the proportions of your body and why that would be required for some of those dimensions. So again, memorization is not the key to success for these exams. You really need to have a deep understanding of the content, but memorization can help you in certain areas if done right. And again, use the understanding still, even for those type of areas where you are going to need to know like some of the stair landing type things or the slopes, like there's going to be some things you have to memorize, but the majority of information, have a deep understanding and go about that deep understanding in the way that you study. And I'm going to leave this video kind of short and sweet. If you want more tips on studying, more tools on how to go deeper, or the way you're studying just isn't working for you, I have tons of other resources for that. So go check out some of my other videos now, and also get inside of our free ARE resource hub. This is like the library for all of our free resources. And this will also have some other awesome tips for you, some worksheets, resource guides, videos, pop quizzes, all that awesome stuff. So get inside there too. I will leave all of the links below. All right. Have a beautiful day.